Hi, I'm Danielle and I'm about to take you through a week of my life. Right now I have 5 jobs and it's actually Friday now. This was quite a busy week and I think you'll get a taste of what it's like to pursue multiple gigs. So if you're interested in taking on several endeavors or want that sense of variety or want to just do a bunch of different things, to take a good peek at what that really looks like on a weekly basis. So before you see how this week flowed, a little crazy, I want to tell you what these 5 jobs are. The first one, which is the first one I took on, is a mentoring program. I help high school students get into college, so you'll see a little bit into that. I also work at a restaurant. I'm doing an apprenticeship to get trained on administering a strengths assessment. I'm obsessed with personality assessments, so that'll be really cool. I'm in the process of getting ready to take on those interviews in a couple months. I also do kind of like PR work for an entrepreneur, and I'm a yoga teacher, so you'll see a taste of all those things. It takes a lot to coordinate it all together, but I'm excited to share, and my life won't always look like this, so I wanted to capture it and take you along for the ride. Hey, so it is currently Wednesday morning. It has been an interesting week so far. I usually have crazy busy Mondays because I've got a bunch of stuff scheduled, and out of my 5 jobs, I'm doing stuff related to 3 or 4 of them. And some other stuff in between, life stuff in between. And then Tuesdays are more of like my catch-up days, like coffee shop or at my desk kind of days for most of it. Mostly true so far this week. On Monday, in the morning, I usually try to map out my week in my bullet journal here. And that didn't happen. It happened, I think, either Monday night or Tuesday morning. I can't remember, but it needs to happen at the beginning of the week. Otherwise, it's just crazy town. But I didn't get the chance to plan out my week before my day started, so it was basically going into the restaurant. After I was there for a few hours, I had an informational interview, which is really just a chance for me to connect with someone who I'd reached out to because I respected what she's doing in her career and I wanted to learn from her, so those are always important to fit in. And then I shadowed a call for the apprenticeship I'm doing related to the strengths assessment. And that took a while, and then I prepared for my yoga class. I taught my yoga class, and then I was supposed to have a call with a student for the mentoring program, but he bailed, so I was able to sneak in a workout. And then on Tuesday, I shadowed a yoga class that I'm going to be subbing for a couple months. Just knocked out a bunch of tasks. I had a meeting with potential roomies since my lease is up in a couple months. I was searching for apartments and stopping by a couple, and then I did sneak in a yoga class for myself to go to, and then I was just answering emails, knocking out more tasks, and a friend came over. I was on the phone for a little bit. But that was basically what has happened so far. And then this morning I was doing a little bit of work on the PR work that I do for the entrepreneur and just kind of getting started on some stuff that I want to get done later in the week. It's going to be a bit of a crazy day today. Wednesdays are usually long days, but there's always a sense of variety, so I can make it through. But it's funny because I'm just like gazing at my Google Calendar here, and it's so fun. It's hilarious because there's all these different colors. I'm like dragging stuff around, and it's necessary because if Google Calendar disappeared, I would have no idea what I'm doing at any point. So anyways, let's dive into the day. All right, quick update here. I went ahead and made myself some breakfast, chopped up some veggies, fried some eggs, got some stuff done for the strengths assessment thing, just kind of going through stuff from my shadow call yesterday, and then I headed out of the apartment, hopped into my car, and now I am on my way to the restaurant. I figured this was a good time to chat about some of the things that come with like the gig life and doing several different things and kind of cobbling together different career endeavors, whether that's from client to client, like a client list, or a bunch of just different types of jobs, because that's what I'm doing right now. And so I think something that's worth acknowledging is transition times, and this is both like literal physical and also mental. People talk about morning commutes, the time it takes you to get to your job, but when we think about even just short trips throughout the day, going from client to client or from gig to gig, that really does add up. 5 and 10 minutes here and there throughout the day. Also the time it takes to kind of get out the door and get there and meet up with someone or walk into that workplace. It really just takes some time. That's one side of things, as well as the mental side of actually shifting gears mentally, whether it's from, one client to another, or from, one type of work to another type of work. It just takes this mental shift that can, for some people, be really exhausting. For other people, it's exciting, but it's just worth noting that that kind of takes some time, and that if you're thinking that you want to pursue a bunch of different things and have that sense of variety, that knowing that there's going to be some shifting gears from little location to location and or mentally too. So here we go. Next step of the day. I'll be here for like 5.5 hours. So let's do this. I'm officially back home now from the restaurant. I'm just a few minutes drive away, and I changed from black jeans to black lounge pants because the pants I wear for the rest of the workday don't matter. So here I am. I have a few minutes of preparation to do for a call for my strengths assessment apprenticeship thing, and then I have a call with a student. It's going to be my last call after working with him for like over a year, so that's really sad, bittersweet, and then 2 group classes with my students for the mentoring role, and then I'll call it a night, and it'll be like 9:45. Long day. But anyways, yeah, that's what we're working with tonight. I really need to go prepare for that call that's coming up, but I did want to share one more thing that's kind of a challenge that's important to acknowledge and kind of work with when it comes to living this lifestyle career-wise, which is that it's really easy to feel scattered. And when you've got tasks for 5 different things, you can find yourself just jumping around, which is really like the busy person's procrastination. So really be aware of that, especially if maybe you don't have 5 jobs, but if you have like 3 different main things that you're involved in. If you find yourself just jumping from thing to thing and kind of feeling in like a scatterbrain, going like, oh, well, I have to get this done and I have to go that, and like you see an email but you don't answer it right away, or maybe you half answer it and then you jump to something else, really be aware of that, because that's actually a form of procrastination. So I make a really purposeful effort to like smoothly go from, okay, I'm about to have this call, so I'll spend this time to prepare and do any little tasks that I need to leading up to it, and then I'm gonna transition into this and I'll do those things, and like just kind of being smooth with it, because I mean, maybe if I've had too much coffee or I'm like feeling overwhelmed, I'll find myself jumping from thing to thing, but I know that's not real productivity. So always keep an eye out for that and try to manage your time in a way that actually helps you get stuff done, even if it's uncomfortable to stick in front of the challenging thing rather than hopping from task to task. So keep that in mind. I am just making my way through the day. I had the training call for the apprenticeship, and then I had my last call with one of my students, and then I had a group class. I've got one more group class that's an hour and a half long, and then it will be 9:45, and I will probably be exhausted because I got like 6 hours sleep last night, and I need like 8.5 naturally. So we'll see how that goes. I wanted to just take a minute here to talk about one more challenge that I see in, the gig life and kind of constantly being scheduled here. And that is that it's pretty hard to separate downtime from work time. When you've got like appointments coordinating, it's almost like you're just searching for every space in your schedule and filling it in. And that leads to burnout. Finding those boundaries, which I'm continuing to do, about when is work time and when is fun time. I do not schedule things on Sundays, which is important, but I do need more than just that, because even sometimes I work pretty late on Saturday nights, which is not ideal. So ideally I would love the weekends totally free, and then I can kind of separate that. It's okay if I'm busy on weekday nights. But anyways, the point of this is to just say that if you are pursuing multiple things and trying to fit it all in your schedule, just really decide for you, what are those boundaries? You know, when are you gonna have that free time? When are you gonna schedule things? And how can you make sure that there's room for both? Because if you don't schedule a downtime, you're gonna burn out, which I've been there, and I try to avoid it. And then if you are not really sure what those boundaries are, then it's hard to put things on the calendar. I just finished. I'm so freaking tired. But that's kind of part of it sometimes. It's been a long day. I shared plenty of the challenges that come with having a lot of things going on. And tomorrow I want to share some of the plus sides, because there's a lot of those too. So I'm gonna hang out for a little bit and then go to bed. And I'll be right back with you tomorrow. It is now Thursday. I've got another busy day ahead, so I will take you along for the ride. Just starting the day here with my cup of coffee. And then I always journal as well. I just kind of like brain dump anything that's on my mind, just to get it out, get the day going. I have my Google Calendar here with all my colors that I was mentioning before. So kind of got my day already mapped out. Got an hour or two of working on the PR stuff for the entrepreneur. And then I'm gonna send some follow-up stuff from my classes last night. Hopefully get to a hot yoga class. If not, I'll run and do a quicker workout on my own. I've got a call with my accountability buddy, which I'll tell you more about later. I have my final call with a student I've been working with for like 3 full years. I'm so sad, but I'm so proud of him. I got a few other things to do before I go into the restaurant. But yeah, that's my day. Yesterday we focused on a lot of the challenges, so today I'll bring more of the positives into the mix, and we're just gonna get going. Okay, this is kind of a delayed update. It's like almost 3 p.m. and I've just been like, the morning was just knocking out tasks, and then I did get on the phone with my accountability buddy. I didn't have time to go to the yoga class or work out, so I just like power walked while we were talking. I don't advise that, but like, it's just one of those days. But anyways, yeah, my accountability buddy, I said I would talk a little bit more. I've got like 2 minutes before I head out the door to an appointment. But basically, her and I have been talking for almost 3 years, and we talk every week and we check in about stuff. Like sometimes it's the littlest things, like how we're sleeping, or you know, health stuff, whatever. But we talk about goals, we talk about what we want to get done, like creative stuff, because she's an artist. And it's just really nice to have someone outside of my normal like circle of friends to chat with, connect with, and just like review how things are going and hear about her life. So that's just an important part of my life. And even though I like have no time, it's great to just make time for stuff like that, because otherwise, you know, you're just running around like a crazy person, which I already feel like I am. So I did set some intentions for the next week, which we always do and I love, and follow up on stuff. So I'm gonna head to an appointment. I figured I'd take this moment in the car here as I'm heading back home to talk about another one of the plus sides of living the gig life, which is that you can kind of have this non-traditional schedule. Like having a call in the middle of the day with my accountability buddy. I'm gonna be working late tonight, so that's, you know, worth acknowledging, but like, I can kind of fit it in a non-traditional schedule, and I feel like that's really great. And then also, it's worth mentioning that on the opposite side of feeling scattered, which I mentioned yesterday, you get this incredible sense of variety from doing a bunch of different gigs. And so I would say, you know, definitely take caution in spreading yourself too thin. That's a given. But if you have a few different things that you fit together to kind of fulfill different passions, you've set yourself up to really be building multiple skills at once, or pursuing different fields at once, to get this great sense of variety. And it kind of reminds me of Elizabeth Gilbert's talk that she did about jackhammers and hummingbirds. Definitely go and watch it, but she talks about hummingbirds as people who pollinate. So they know a little bit about this and a little bit about that, and as they move from either industry to industry, or job to job, that they can take what they've learned from one area and apply it to another, and just take this very out of the box entrepreneurial perspective, because they can pollinate. And if you are doing multiple different things, you really have this amazing opportunity for that pollination. We're in the kitchen now. I got my apron on, don't make fun of me. I'm trying to chop some veggies without getting splatters on my clothes. I did want to talk about another positive side of doing a bunch of different gigs, and that is that it's very clarifying. When you are trying multiple either fields or types of work, or even like a variety of clients, let's say, you're gonna get real world feedback of what's for you and what's not for you. And if you tried, them at different times, like fields one after the other, you may not kind of get the same side-by-side comparison. What I'd say is, if you want to try just a few things at once, you think about, okay, I'm really looking for something that is people-focused. Which of these is most people-focused, or something like that? Or like, which of them pays best, or which of these options gets me to my goals? You can try them, and then you get to make decisions about what pieces to expand in your life and what to cut out. You can have realizations pretty quickly about what you want to do next when you're trying multiple things at once, because we get more clarity from actually doing things and trying to sit and figure it out. So if you research different fields versus actually just getting a gig in each of those fields, the latter is going to help you decide much faster what to pursue next. Hey, back in the car on the way to the restaurant. It's just back and forth situation today, but I figured this was a great time to share another positive here, and that is that it can be very entrepreneurial. Based on what you choose, you can be kind of like your own boss in a way. And just as an example, with the strengths assessment, with the training I was in yesterday, she'd previously told me that, when you're learning this, you can definitely be using it in the future on your own, with your own clients, and you just have to pay a licensing fee. And that's a cool option to have when you're kind of managing everything. You do get to make lots of decisions about how to spend your time, where to put your priorities, and in that sense, it can be very entrepreneurial. So that's another way. I mean, obviously, if you work at 3 different restaurants or something, it's going to be a bit different. That schedule sounds like hell. But in the way that you choose your opportunities, potentially, it can be very entrepreneurial, which is a fun way to kind of explore earlier in your career. I am home, done at the restaurant, finished up with my day. It is 11:30. I am tired, so I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Good morning once again. So far today, I basically was just in my pajamas at my computer, answering emails, doing some follow-up texts and stuff, and planning out my day. And now coming up, I've got to prepare for a yoga class I'm subbing later today, have another potential roomie meeting, and sub that class, and then it'll be about midday and I'll check back in. I'm gonna take this opportunity to say that things don't always go as planned. In fact, things usually don't go as planned. And so even with a busy schedule, even with all the things lined up in my Google Calendar, things get rearranged a lot, which is actually why I stopped using a paper calendar, and I still use paper for to-do lists, but I stopped using a paper scheduler because things are moving around so much. I mean, when you have appointments with a lot of different people, stuff pops up in their lives. Be aware of that. If you've got all these moving pieces, stuff is gonna rearrange, and you're gonna have to be able to manage that or learn how to manage that. And I will say I've gotten pretty dang good at coordinating because of the moving pieces and everything like that. And I don't really mind it anymore. And that's what happened this afternoon. I had a pretty mapped out schedule, and then after the roomie meeting and subbing the yoga class, my student canceled or rescheduled, and so I ended up being able to work out right then and there because I was at my gym teaching the yoga class, and then I could go grocery shopping, which was amazing because I had nothing in my fridge at all. I literally had cold a whole cold cube of tofu for breakfast, which is not usually how it is, but in an emergency situation, cold tofu. So I have groceries now. So I ended up coming home and cooking and then answering a bunch of emails and getting a few things done, just little tasks and like edits on stuff. And now I need to take a shower because I have dried sweat on my body, as disgusting as that is. Got a few more things to do before a date tonight. So that's that. I showered, I dried my hair. Now I just gotta clean up my apartment and get ready for my date, and that will be my night. And then tomorrow I have the call with the student that was rescheduled from today, and then I go into the restaurant for the rest of the night, and then early Sunday morning I'm leaving for a retreat for one of my jobs. So definitely busy week, but I will do the things that I said I was gonna do, and then we will wrap this sucker up. What a week. We started at my desk, we're ending at my desk, full circle. I took you through my work week and gave you some positives, some challenges, and I want to wrap this thing up with some tips. Because this is not an effort to tell you to have 5 jobs. If anything, it provides some caution for overscheduling yourself and just becoming so busy because you want to live your life too. So I figured I'd kind of wrap up with just 3 main things to consider if you're excited by the idea of variety, having multiple gigs, and just really want to pursue multiple passions. Tip number 1 is make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. Sometimes we want to busy ourselves because we don't want to deal with our problems, or because we think we're only worthy if we have our schedule jam-packed or we're productive enough. And I'm sure that some of that played into taking on a lot, or even fear about not making enough money. So really make sure you're going into it for the right reasons. If you have specific stuff that you want to pursue, you want to explore, then that's obviously a positive outlook on it versus feeling like you're not enough. So really consider why you want to take on multiple things and decide, are you doing it for the right reasons? Tip number 2 is to set yourself up well financially. There are some things that you really need to look into if you're going to be taking on different gigs. Knowing that there is that transition time I talked about before, knowing that there's kind of it's preparation time, like with the yoga classes I'm teaching, you saw I prepared at home, or even for certain kind of consulting, more consulting like roles, there's time to prepare, and there's those little things that people don't even think about. Make sure that you're being compensated where necessary. You need to have negotiations and conversations and make sure that you're getting paid enough for the work that you do, or even just design your life in a way where if you're taking on certain things with set pay, that you are making sure that you're going to be in a good place financially. All right, and the third tip that I have is make sure that you have a direction in mind. Don't just be busy to be busy. Understand where you want to go. You know, why are you doing the things that you're doing? Are you doing 3 different things right now, 3 different fields, and you want to find which one to pursue a year from now? Have a future in mind, even though you can probably say it'll change a little bit because that's how life works, but having a general direction so that you know why you're pursuing all these different things and what direction you're going in creates clarity and will help you to have a promising future. So thanks so much for watching, for tuning in, seeing what a week of my life is like right now. If you have any comments or questions, please comment below. And yeah, keep watching. Bye.